Greetings and welcome to a brand new episode of Axem Behind the Scenes. Now today I'm going to be focusing on episode 2, which is the next step after I made all of those videos for frame by frame by frame in the Axem Rangers X movie. What I thought about doing this time was to do a video based on my recent episode of the Axer Rangers S series, which is the sequel to the Axem Rangers X series. Now, the way this is going to work, I am going to actually be taking you to the compositing side. Now, thing is, I am a professional compositor. I've used compositing software at work, and I use it basically on a day-to-day basis. And to be honest with you, I've worked with all four of them, and I know I'm going to be biased about one of them, but then again, it's just personal preferences. You can use whatever compositor you feel comfortable with. I'm not saying that one compositor is better than the other. All I'm saying is that you have to be comfortable with any compositor that you use, and you have to be comfortable with every compositor that is out there. So, with that said and done, there are basically 4 compositors that an artist can use. There's 1 that is layer based, 3 that are node based, and I'll get to that in a sec. So the first compositor, as you're seeing right in front of you, is Fusion Studio. Now there is a free version of Fusion, which is called Fusion 9. And basically what you get out of it is you get all the basic tools. So you get to import your 3D models, you get to play with all the basic controls that you would expect in, for example, After Effects. The only biggest difference between Fusion 9 and Fusion Studio 9 is the fact that in Fusion Studio you get virtual reality support. So you will be able to do all kinds of compositing for 360 video. Now, here's the thing. I actually did go a long way to actually purchase Fusion Studio 9. And the reason why is because I recently picked up a 360 video camera at least 2 years ago. And because I wanted to experiment with virtual reality, since virtual reality right now is part of my job, the thing is, I wanted to learn about the 3D compositing in the VR side. And so to do all of this, I needed to pick up Fusion Studio, because virtual reality in the regular Fusion Studio, the free version, good luck with that. You're not gonna get anywhere near as perfect as virtual reality unless you start investing money. What can I say? I mean, you want to go into virtual reality? They never said it was cheap. They never said it was cheap. All right, so here's Fusion Studio 9, and basically what you get out of it is virtual reality. They finally have a camera tracker, planar tracking as well, if you're used to camera trackers such as Mocha. I'll get to that in a minute. You have a new Delta here, which is like a key light. And then, of course, you got the classic rotoscope. You got a studio player. We got lots of new formats with like DNX, ProRes. I'm so excited for those, to be honest. And of course GPU acceleration, so you can pretty much kick your computer into 4-wheel drive. And so these are all the movies that Fusion is responsible for. If it interests you, I mean, go download it. There's a free version. You don't have to try out a 30-day free trial. It's fully compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux, and you can pretty much go nuts with it. As I said, the only biggest difference is you lose the pro features and you lose the VR stuff. So, yeah, there's so much things you could do with it. You can even do motion graphics. You got the tracker, the keyer, vector paint, and rotoscope, so you can do your lightsaber effects. You could do stereo 3D, which is part of the VR. You could do lens flares, effects, optical flow, and yeah, you can even do 360 video. But like I said, the 360 video is part of basically the studio version. And of course, you can import your 3D models. And then there's the deep pixel compositing, where you can add your volumetric fog. You can do scripting, and you can run everything to render nodes, and you can collaborate with a lot of people in the large teams. So yeah, these are basically the prices for Fusion. As I said, you can get Fusion Studio, you can get the free version, and you can get started right away. You don't have to purchase Fusion Studio 9 if you want to, but if you're going to be doing virtual reality, you're better off purchasing Studio 9. And you know what? The free version, to be honest with you, it's better than spending $20 a month on the Adobe Creative Cloud, because After Effects, it's like $20 to $50 a month, and I mean, why would you want to pay that much money if you can use Fusion for free, which basically After Effects and Fusion, they both do exactly the same thing. The only difference is the layout is completely different from each other. I mean, Natron, Nuke, and Fusion, they're all node-based. So the way it works is that After Effects, you have all of these layers, and sometimes when you want to add effects to these layers, you have to say, okay, which piece of footage do I want to add an effect to? Because the thing is, when you start pre-composing, where you start collapsing your layers into one, and you start doing that for multi-level compositing, then it starts getting complicated for you, because then things start to become a mess. So in Fusion, Nuke, and Natron, everything is right in front of you. You do not need to pre-comp anything. All you need to do is add a merge node, and then everything is live. Like, everything is right in front of you. You know what you're doing, and it's just easy, you know? So that was basically Fusion. This is Natron. This is open source, and it is free to try, just like Fusion, except this one doesn't have any limitations other than one, and that is you do not have 3D support. So unfortunately for me, that is a drawback, because personally, as much as I like compositors, I want to have compositors that can do 3D as well. But if you just want to get started, do 2D video for, you know, whatever movie or video you want to do, and you just want to get the 2D stuff out of the way, Natron is definitely perfect, and like I said, it's free. And just like Fusion, it is node-based, so you don't have to do any pre-comps. Everything is right in front of you, and you know what you're doing. The counterpart of Natron is the industry standard Nuke. Now, Nuke, as I said, I'm going to be a little bit biased, but to be honest with you, Nuke is very powerful. And there is a non-commercial version if you want to do it, but there is, of course, lots of downsides to it. So, first of all, the non-commercial version, which I'm going to be clicking right here, that's free. The downside is you only get HD as an output, and most of the tools are disabled, like the Right Geo, the Ultimatte, Primat, Blink Script, and the Generate LUTs. Those are also disabled as well. 2D format support is disabled for MPEG 4 and H.264. That's a bit of a shame, really, especially the Primat. I mean, I use Primat a lot. It's my number one keyer of choice, and the fact that Nuke, they're asking me to pay $10,000. I mean, no offense, Foundry, but I think you're overpricing your Nuke compositors. But then again, it is an industry standard, so basically, if you're a company and you're going to be doing VFX, you're better off with either Nuke or Fusion, because those are pretty much what all the studios are using nowadays. That's just my opinion, and I'll stick with that. But then again, it's all about user preferences. Whichever software the user is comfortable with, stick with that software. But it is always nice to learn all the others. And finally, we got After Effects. Now, as I already know, After Effects is very well used, but it does get complicated if you are planning to do multi-level compositing. So, for example, if you have to do 20 layers and then pre-compose one, and then you have 14 layers and then pre-compose another, it starts to get hectic, especially for lightsaber battles. So picture you want to do a multi-level lightsaber battle with, let's say, 6 actors, 6 lightsabers. One of them could probably be a double-bladed or something, regardless. Basically, you gotta do all your multi-level rotoscope. You gotta put your glows, you gotta put your masks, your tracking, you gotta basically track your sticks, because, you know, if you're gonna be doing lightsaber battles with rulers or wooden sticks and all those things, it gets complicated. And, you know, the bigger your comp is, the more complicated it is to start editing things, because like I said, in After Effects you're working with layers and then you start getting lost in what you're actually doing, whereas in Fusion, Nuke, or Natron, everything is right in front of you. In fact, I'm actually going to prove it to you. So here's the way it's gonna go. Basically what happens is, so in After Effects, I'm just gonna give you a quick example. So for After Effects, if you're going to do a lightsaber battle, first thing you need to do is you need to track your object. So you got to put your nulls and your tracking camera on your object that you're going to be, you know, moving around and all those things. And then you got to put a roto. So you got to make a mask. So altogether, that's like 3 or 4 layers already. But then you got to add some color to it as well. So that's 2 effects on 1 layer. And then after that, you gotta put your glow. So that's 3 effects. And then once that's done, you gotta pre-comp it. And then if you wanna, for example, add 3D layers, you know, then it starts getting complicated, because you gotta put all of your passes, your DZ depth, your global illumination, if you have any reflections for the water, if you have any, like I said, it's all about what exactly are you trying to comp. That's basically the whole idea. Now, I'm gonna prove it right here in Fusion, because as I said, I own Fusion. I actually have the copy of that. I could have gone for Natron as well, but then again, I mean, as I said, I'd prefer getting something with the 3D stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up a scene, and there we go. We are in. So I have basically 2 kinds of comps right now. So these are nodes. So just like layers, the nodes will see what exactly you're doing. And what I love about this Fusion is that you got 3 buttons here. But I personally love the first 2 buttons, because here's what you could do. I'm going to go to my layers, my frames here, and I'm going to hit the left button. And that brings up my view on the left side. Now when I click on the second button, I get it on the second side as well. So I can see exactly what I'm doing from the very first frame all the way to the finished product, which is normally what I would do between the 2 viewers. So let's get started. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go to just a standard layer. I'm gonna do a basic composite, and I'm gonna find a little scene here that's there we go. This is perfect. So I'm gonna hit the I button, and I'm gonna actually determine where exactly this scene starts. So we are at the starting point, which is 202. I just typed it down, so no biggie. Now the way this is going to go down is I'm going to start off by adding let's see here, I'm going to add a mask paint. So what I did was press Control space, and I'm going to put a mask paint. But then, yeah, now you could see everything is moving. But here's the thing: it's moving in the wrong node. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit Control space again, and I'm going to bring up a glow, because in this scene, basically what happens is I want Void Ranger to glow. Because basically he's in a dark place, and yeah, it doesn't look dark now, but when you add the effects, that's when it starts getting interesting. So as you can see, now I'm adding stuff. So right now I just added a glow to my bitmap frames, and I just added it to the second window. So now I'm gonna go into the mask paint, and as you can see on the right side, all of the controls are right there in front of you. So it's just like After Effects. The only biggest difference is you're working all the effects on the right side as opposed to the left side, and instead of using layers, you're using nodes. And as I said, there's no pre-comp because everything is in front of you. So now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to first increase the size of my mask, and there we go. This right here is our mask. And now the mask is supposed to basically say, okay, I just want Void Ranger to be affected by the glow. I don't want anybody else to be hit by glow, or else the scene itself is not going to make any sense. So there we go. There is Void Ranger. He's hit by glow, and now we're going into our next piece right here, which is the actual glow. And what we're going to do is we're going to be bringing in his signature color. So we're going to turn off the red. We're going to turn off the green. We're going to give him the blue. We're going to, let's see now. We're going to increase his glow, not too much, but basically we're going to put it up to this much. Now, as I said, this is not professional compositing. Sometimes, you know, your clients are going to be pickier. But for this case, this is personal. This is a personal project, all right? So don't take this tutorial as a professional way to composite. This is personal work. But I do professional compositing on a day-to-day basis. So don't judge me on that. Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, I just added a glow, but now I want to make things a little bit interesting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a merge node. And with that, there we go. So basically, the merge node is basically your pre-compose. So unlike After Effects, you got your pre-compose where in After Effects you have to collapse all your layers into one. Merge basically tells you, okay, now you're putting all of these nodes into one specific package. And that's exactly what the merge node does. It pre-composes what you're doing. So now I want to take things to the next level. I am going to add this next piece of footage, which is green screen. Now, just like the green screen, I am going to do this. There we go. There's our green. This is a character that I killed off a few seasons ago. And of course, right now he's taking up the whole frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to the merge node, and as I said, now you can see on the second screen, it actually shows what I'm doing because I already attached the second screen to the merge. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the green key, control space, and I'm going to add a primat. Or actually, I would like to instead use the delta key here. Now, the delta key, if you're using After Effects, it's the key light. It's the main key that everybody uses. So, let's work with it. I'm going to be first going to pick a color. Pick screen color. There we go. Okay. And there we have it. So now, our character is in. We just put this character at random. And now, he's part of the frame. So there we go. This is perfect. So we actually created a green screen footage. We brought it into the comp. And now, we actually have green screen footage in a 2D image. Plus, we have Void Ranger glowing, which is, right now, the best way you can actually composite an Axem X footage. But we're not done yet. Step number 3. Here we go. Step number 3, I want to add now some color correction. But first, we're going to do some color grading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in color, and I'm going to put in color curve. And what color curve is going to do is it's going to basically adjust a few colors that I need. Because right now the blue, it is looking a bit too bright. So let's see what we can do here. Now the one thing I would normally do for blue color is make the scene a bit more cold, because that's pretty much what we want. You want the scene to be more colder than what it is. So basically what I'm using for color curves is to do basically something called color temperature. Now if you've worked with something called a Kelvin scale, basically the way it works is Kelvin scale measures the color temperature based on what kind of light you're using. So it could be anything from a candle light, which is like 1900, all the way up to sunlight, which is 20,000. So you're basically working with a scale that tells you, okay, I need this color temperature to be this intense. So that's exactly what this color grader does. So now I'm going to add a little bit of red. I want to make sure that I get the walls a bit more golden, you know. And finally we're going to add a bit of green. Maybe, okay, let's see now. You know what, this is perfect. So there we go. All we did now was just change the walls and a few of the characters. But wait, it gets better. Because now, as I said, Void Ranger's glowing, but the scene is still bright. That doesn't make any sense, doesn't it? Let's rectify that. Let's go to color, and this time we're going to add a color corrector. Color corrector is the ultimate color tool. And with color corrector, you could do anything to the scene. So let's get started. I got to my master hue and saturation, as you would expect in Photoshop or Adobe After Effects or anything. I'm just gonna, alright, let's see here. I'm gonna add a bit more gold to it, make it a bit more yellow. So that's good so far. Saturation, let's see what we got here. And you don't have to do all of this, you know, you don't have to do that. You just need enough to make the eye visible to what you're trying to make. And of course, if you put it down, of course, you get the black and white, you get Dark Ranger and all the other characters. I actually want to keep it at around this level, because as I said, we're working with a dark scene here. So now we can adjust the big features. So let's first adjust the contrast here. And yeah, now you can see it's getting darker. So let's add some more to it. Let's make it even darker. There we go. We added one. A bit of black. There we go. It's even darker now. Gamma. Okay, that's a bit too much. Maybe just a little bit of glow to the walls. That's perfect. And finally, a little bit of brightness. We don't want too much, but we want it to be visible. There we go. So what we just did, actually, you know what? Let's make it a bit darker. There we go. That's much better. So what we just did, we just made the scene look darker than what it originally was. And as you can see from the left and right side, you have the before and you have the after. Now, what we just did, and this is a recap, we just added a glow. We added a mask paint. We added a green screen. We did color curving and color correction. These are just basics of what you can do. You can, like I said, you can even take it to the next level and add 3D models to your scene. So, I mean, you can add anything. You can add a car, you could do motion graphics, and you can pretty much go nuts. So, yeah, it is really, really an amazing tool. And now I'm going to just do something completely out of random. I'm going to go for... well, first things first, I'm going to put in a merge node because, you know, we have to have all of these features composited, you know, pre-composed. So now we're going to see what can we add that can make this even more amazing. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can even paint. So I'm just going to do something out of random. So, like, I'm just going to do... hello. So yeah, you could go nuts with this whole compositing thing. And heck, this thing even has particle systems. So if you have to do, for example, it's raining arrows, you can do that. All you need to do is import a 3D model of an arrow and then play with the particle system, and you will get an amazing array of falling arrows like rainfall. It's just that amazing. And let's put some rays. There we are. So we're gonna put the rays right to void. So there we go. We have ourselves rays. But now that's a bit too much. Let's decay it down a little bit. Exposure. Okay, this is a bit too much, of course. We already know that. What we want is just enough. Just enough for the eye to see. I think this is good enough. All we could do after that is just add a little mask. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go to the actual frame. And in the frame, it's going to say, "Are you the pizza delivery guy?" And I will be honest, that is pretty funny. So what we're going to do is we're going to take just this piece of frame right here. We're going to crop it. We're going to go File, Save As. We're going to put it as 203 mask. And one thing I really love about Fusion is the fact that it does do bitmap imaging. So bitmap imaging, I mean, I love it. Right now it's the only software that can actually do bitmaps, and there we have it. We now have our mask. So actually, you know what, on second thought, so let's do this. Let's do angle. Are you the pizza delivery guy? Yes, I am. Let's take that, bring it to the top. There's our foreground. Yeah, there we go. And now we have our comp. So we just added a mask. We added a ray. We added glow effects. We did green screen. We did everything. Yeah! And now, for the final piece of resistance, we're going to save. We're going to put a saver. And we're going to save it to, let's see here. I'm going to save it to my USB. Put it in. I'm just going to put it there out of random. No, I do not want to gather sequences. I'm going to call this Raysun. And it's going to go right into here. And now, of course, as you can see, on the left, you got your before. On the right, you got your after. So we just made green screen. We made Void Ranger glow. We made the scenery darker. We actually put a mask to cover the rays on the speech bubbles. And we put rays from Void Ranger. I mean, this is compositing. This is, right now, the way I see this, this is beautiful. This is perfect. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to learn about compositing, and you want to get started, hopefully one day you want to take it to the big screen, like Hollywood or stuff. There are studios out there that do that. And there is a book that you can buy on Amazon for $60, which is called Digital Compositing for Film and Video by Steve Wright. Now, this may be a big book, but it's worth it because you're going to be learning everything about compositing. And if you want to work in the motion pictures, or if you just want to experiment compositing for the hell of it, you can. All you need is the book and a compositor that can get the job done for you. So, finally, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an output here. I'm going to do a PNG file, and I am not going to be doing a sequence. So, finally, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit that render button. Now, what happens was, I'm just going to open this up. There's our file. What I accidentally did was press the preview button. Now, preview brings up proxy mode. I don't want proxy mode. I want the final mode. So I click start. It's done. Open up the file. And it's there. Full size. You get your rays. You get your green screen. You get everything. And all in all you need to do is just edit what you need. Control S and you're done. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to composite using Nuke, Fusion, Natron, After Effects. Basically, how to composite with your software of choice. Thank you all very much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope to see you guys next time for the final episode of Axem X Behind the Scenes. See you later.